How you feeling? I hope well, man. I had an amazing week. Like Preston actually was saying, I think this was the first week that I consistently came in 5 days. No excuses. Trying to get the protein in. That's something that's a little bit of a habit that I need to create for my life. So I feel like through reading The Atomic Habit, I realized, okay, well, if I'm already if I'm already so used to the habit of coming here, then why not bring the protein with me and drink it here? Then I'm building a commitment system essentially that allows me to take as much friction away from the process of drinking that protein as possible. And that's, I feel like, things that I'm also implementing in the rest of my life, just being able to build commitment systems around anything else that I want to accomplish and that I really want to ingrain as a habit. So, the book reading is amazing. It really helps. It really helps you kind of center all of these different thoughts and ideas and kind of put them to use. Um, I don't know how your week's been. I know you mentioned to me that you wanted to go over a couple things. I'm excited to lend the ear and try to see what insights we could give to everybody else.
Now let's start there. Habit stacking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Make them obvious, attractive, easy, satisfying.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all it's been about.
And then, right, what happens when you're creating habits in your life, what you're really doing is that you're rewiring your brain, you're remapping your brain.
Right.
So your brain automatically, where every single time that you take an action and you practice that action, it becomes better at it. So the neuron plasticity that you're creating on a day-to-day basis, it becomes just the most normal thing in the world. And then understanding, right, that with every human being that we encounter, they have a completely different mind than you do. So they have different experiences, different actions.
Right.
So your life is based upon your habits. What have you been wiring into your brain the whole time? And
Years.
and then are you choosing what you're wiring into your brain, or are other people choosing it for you?
Yeah.
And that goes from your reactions, your responses, your behaviors, your feelings, emotions, what you think the rules of life are. Hence, that statement that you become who you surround yourself with. So who do you give access to make impressions on your brain?
Yeah, wow. Seems like it probably starts from your inner circle, especially if it's people that you're choosing to put in your life or to keep into your life. I would imagine that those are the first people that, create impressions on you.
Well, let's go even further. It's not just the impressions, right? Because you used a powerful word when you said insights. So it's through the dialogues and the conversations that our insights are born. And then when you're able to lend your brain and its wiring and its mapping and the way it thinks, right, and its perception to somebody else, who they go and they're living a completely different system of the world. Like whatever that case may be. It could be schools, it could be corporate, it could be a dentist's office, whatnot, right? You have different experiences inside you. You have different parents connected to you. You have different knowledge and wisdom. And so now you're letting your perception, and then there's things that you're going to be able to see that person can't see, and imagine how you help them. And especially that, we might all work different systems,
Okay.
like a doctor, a lawyer, a gym owner, a vendor, head of operations in the company, a different type of business, like maybe like a convenience store, or if not a convenience store, a car dealership. They might all be different systems.
Okay.
But there is one common denominator: human nature.
Sure.
So no matter what, you can always lend your insights and wisdom and knowledge on human nature. And it's so important to understand that, yes, we do have intellectuals and we do have people that know a lot, but that's such a small thing when it comes to it. What's the point of knowledge that can't be used with the right judgment and discernment?
Yeah.
You know, that it's the wisdom. That's what, what we all really need is practical wisdom. If you really think about life in itself, and the biggest thing that we can give to everyone is that it's not about complicating it. It's not about making it complex. It's actually, the more you simplify it, the more alive you are. The more simplicity, the more life is. And something that we tend to make a big mistake of is that we think that if we go and we're gonna do like big business or big corporation or high precision in some type of endeavor, like we make this gigantic complexity out of it.
Yeah.
Where the reality is, wouldn't it make more sense to simplify it all and just to see that as a system that has its structures, and all you have to do is develop that to be your one thing.
Okay.
And if you develop it to be your one thing, then with each day that you live it, each day that you practice it, that you have a repetition, then you grow more and you see more.
Okay.
But people are constantly jumping from side to side. I want to say that it's okay to jump from precision to precision when you maybe like in your like 20s.
Okay.
Right? But by the time you hit your 30s, like you should have like a compass. Like you should just feel like to being drawn to something.
Yeah.
And then pick that one thing to be drawn to. Pick, and that's where they talk about passion and purpose. Like discover what your heart loves. Because that one thing you're drawn to, what I can tell you how you really know, and what's like the signal, and like what is it that gives you like that direction, like, okay, this is it. It's because inside of you, there's gonna be such an undeniable belief and such a knowing that that's your thing,
Yeah.
that it's not, nobody can talk you out of it.
Yeah.
And that's how you get there, because that's what allows you to go on that journey, right? So that way you can see more than everyone else in the world when it comes to that. Like think about a boxer, right? Okay. If they've been boxing for 1 year, 2 years, you're not gonna go and fight for a title. But if you've been boxing 10 to 20 years, you're gonna, yeah, of course, because you stuck with that one thing to be able to understand the pattern recognition, the defensive techniques, the movement, the footwork, the body work, the sharpening of the body, and the strengthening of the body. And that's the thing. Same thing like with UFC, or let's say somebody who's like who's a public figure, like usually Jordan Peterson, because he's spoken a lot about a lot of things. Yeah. He studied so many different books, so his pattern recognition, when it comes to all the books, he can go all over. He can go from talking to Dostoevsky, or Tolstoy, or Bible reference, like I know he did a series on Genesis and Exodus, and it's just insight upon insight. And from reading all these different materials gives you more insight. It's like me, when I see a gym and I see exercises, I've been doing it for 20 plus years. So now what I see is different, and when I'm saying 20 plus years, when I started paying attention, I started doing it and taking action with it 30 plus years ago, Yeah. So what is it that we end up being able to see, and what is it that we're going to choose? What's going to be our North Star?
Right.
And then once you achieve one thing, and have that understanding that any one thing that you want to achieve in life, it's like a 7 to 10 year hit. That's how long it takes to be able to see. It takes 7 to 10.
Wow.
So don't go out there and after 6 months or a year or 2, 3 years and be like, all right, like I can't make this work. No, you're just getting started.
Yeah.
Like that. You're at the beginning.
That's very true.
Understand that you're at the beginning, and it's gonna take time to be able to see. But once you achieve one thing, then you can transfer that understanding to anything else you do. If you understand that concept, then you're always going to be able to see more. You're always going to be able to create more. Look how I use myself as an example. Gyms, I see things different. Working with schools, I see things different. Working with corporations, I see things different. Working with individuals, one-on-one life coaching, I see things different. Public speaking, I see things different. The endeavor that you and I have taken on with podcasts, what we will be able to see when we've been doing this for 3 years. What will it develop into? What will what we've been doing, what we're synthesizing itself into. Think about the new business venture you just launched.
Yeah.
You know, and this is going to be great because I'm actually going to ask you some questions like, how did it feel to have the courage to go and go into a different realm of not knowing, of being uncomfortable, of taking on things that you know that you're going to discover as you do?